I'm Robert Burns, and I'm going to be very brief, very succinct and to the point, because I want to move on to the two stars of this particular video, and those would be Governor John Bel Edwards and Reverend Freddie Phillips. So let me just briefly say this. I don't know how many historians we have viewing this. I'm now 52 years old, so I will remember these days. But if you will go out and purchase a book, now they're not cheap because they're not in widespread supply anymore, but there was a book written toward the end of the 70s by a gentleman named Clyde Vadrine. Clyde Vadrine. Now for you younger folks, that's not going to mean anything to you, but Clyde Vadrine was Governor Edwin Edwards's Commissioner of Administration. The book is entitled Just Taking Orders. That book is entitled Just Taking Orders. It's a fantastic read. I mean, you get behind the scenes details of all of the corruption that went on in Edwin Edwards' first term in office. And let me just say this, Mr. Vadrine goes to great lengths to say that during the campaign of 1971, I was 8 years old and vividly remember that campaign, Mr. Vadrine goes to great detail to say that some fairly prominent positions that would be in the Edwards administration as they were on the campaign trail, that Governor Edwards had committed to 5, 6 people. We're not talking about tiny positions either. We're talking about 5 or 6 people for the same position, high-ranking positions. That concerned Mr. Vadrine. He asked Governor, or soon-to-be future Governor Edwards, he said, what are we going to do? I mean, we done promised these same jobs, 5 or 6 people in these same positions. Edwards said, don't worry about it, we'll deal with it after the election. Now, why did I say that? You're going to see when coming out, what's it been, 40 years, over 40 years. Boy, time is really flying, 45 years. Time is going by. Now we have a brand new Edwards on the block, and you'll see in this upcoming little segment, this little video starring John Bel Edwards and Reverend Freddie Lee Phillips. You'll see some of the same thing taking place. You're going to hear John Bel Edwards respond, we overcommitted. What's the big deal? Another day at the office. That's all well and good. The only question I'll have for you, John Bel, is, okay, you overcommitted. How did you ascertain that the black man was the one who would be, tossed out to solve the overcommitting problem? Just so happened to be the only black gentleman in the history of Louisiana that has ever held an auction license. Somehow by default it's just understood that he'll be the one out. Wow, okay. Now I will say this for Mr. Edwards. John Bel Edwards made the commitment. It was off camera. Unfortunately, I do not have it filmed, but you can take my word for it, and there were about 8 witnesses. Reverend Phillips asked him, Governor Edwards, will you at least look into the payroll fraud that I reported on this agency on which I served? And Governor Edwards told him to send it to him, and he would look at it. I'm going to send you the direct link that has been sent to the Edwards administration. So here's your challenge, Governor Edwards. Are you going to look at it? The rest of the audience is free to do so. How about it, Mr. Honor Code? How about it, Mr. Holier Than Thou? What you going to do? Ball's in your court. Thank you very much, and enjoy the remainder of this video exclusively starring Governor John Bel Edwards and Reverend Freddie Lee Phillips. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Governor, I'll ask a yes or no question, and it'll be very simple. If I am a state employee and I have a state-issued cell phone, and I am vacationing in Disney World, or I am laying on the beach while claiming to be on the clock because I have this cell phone, would you define that as being on the clock? Would you define that as working?
I would not.
Okay.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. If I can, and I'm sorry, I was supposed to do that the first time as well, I apologize. The question is whether if a state employee is on the clock or working as a state employee, if in fact they are even out of state.
Florida, Kansas, New York.
Something I guess we would all consider to be a vacation, but if they had a state-issued cell phone on their person.
And you have said that you would not, correct?
No, I would not.
And I think everyone would concur with that. That being the case, and Governor, some questions are difficult, I understand that. That being the case, can you please explain to us why you have, or your officials have said that you made a prior commitment to reappoint a board member to the Auctioneers Licensing Board who was indifferent to such activity, and in doing so reneged on your press release of April the 20th, in which you appointed the gentleman that's seated right in front of me, Reverend Freddie Lee Phillips, the first and only African American auctioneer in the history of this state. And on Thursday, he received a phone call to Kemp that you were rescinding that appointment. So,
Well,
with respect, sir, I just asked.
Because I believe we accidentally appointed too many people, that I had committed to too many people. Beyond that, I don't know enough to respond to your question.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm Reverend Freddie Phillips, the one that we rescinded the order on. I have a problem with that. One of the things that concerned me more than anything else was I went through all the process of doing all the paperwork. I got the notification and the press release on the 20th, and then they waited until 5 days before the meeting to call me and inform me and let me go through the whole rigorous process of doing everything and then rescind the order, the appointment. That was to me somewhat disheartening.
Oh, I understand. And we made a mistake, and I apologize. We committed to more people than we should have, and I had to rescind one, and I rescinded yours.
Well, Ms. Jacobs, she was the one, and she didn't have any knowledge of it. And the thing that really troubled me more than anything else, and I felt like this personally, is what I uncovered about things that went on the board.
He's the one that reported the payroll fraud.
Promoted all this stuff that happened. And I told Ms. Parmentier the same thing. I said, look, if the governor doesn't want integrity in his office and then on his commissions, as it relates to the things that pertain to my industry, the auctioneer's industry, I uncovered the payroll fraud, the eyes here stuff, all the things that went on that was an embarrassment to not only our state, but my profession. And, Ms. Jacobs, I have a work relationship. She didn't have a problem. But, she was not, and she informed me of this, that she was not even aware that she was still on the board. And she didn't have a problem with that. But when it came down from Ms. Parmentier that there was been an overcommitment, she waited at the last minute, so it happened.
Well, we discovered the overcommitment at the end. I apologize to you. I don't know what more I can tell you other than we made a mistake. I had to fix the mistake, and somebody had to come off.
But she was already on the board prior to. She was already serving 4 years, and then the reappointment came. And my thing was this right here. I set off and rescinded a second term in the governor's office only because he wasn't doing anything to fight justice as relates to what was going on. My thing is this: I have nothing personal against you or your office or what is transpired.
No, against you. Yeah, but that's not fine. It just was a mistake. So, I don't know what I can tell you other than we made a mistake.
Can you state to whom the commitment was made? Because Ms. Parmentier would not state that it was to Ms. Jacobs.
And I want you to tell you that I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of folks, and I can't tell you right now, not because I don't want to, but because I don't have that information.